The rise in incidents of violence at schools has seen several organizations call for a review of the school safety strategy to protect learners as well as educators. This comes after shocking violent incidents at schools in Eldorado Park that allegedly left 2 learners shot and 1 stabbed in 2 separate incidents. The most recent incident is a suspected arson attack at Lancea Vale Secondary School. Joining us to discuss the rising incidents of violence in schools is education activist Hendrick Makaneta. Good afternoon, Mr. Makaneta. Thank you very much for joining us on the SABC. Now, you have been quoted as saying these incidents of violence, among others, undermine the very foundation of our education system. Just take us through your views on what we're currently seeing at these schools.
Yes, situation in Eldorado Park is cause for great concern, simply because we cannot be happy when learners are stabbed, within school premises. And of course, there are people who get into schools with guns, where you find that, they leave members of the schooling community terrified. The gang violence that is happening in Eldorado Park should be confronted, until it is defeated, because it undermines the very fabric of our learning and teaching environment. Learners cannot be able to fully prepare themselves for the future if they continue to experience such traumatic incidents.
Now, Mr. Makaneta, you would be considered a key stakeholder in the education department. So, having interacted ever so often with this department, what have you found are the issues insofar as ensuring that learners and educators are safe? Well,
quite honestly, there are schools where you find that safety is guaranteed, but there are those hotspot areas, such as schools in Eldorado Park and some of the schools in the country, where acts of violence continue to be perpetuated either by the learners. If it is not learners, it is members of communities. If it is not members of communities, it is the teachers. And that is why we are saying that the summits that have been held up to now, have not been able to resolve or to assist in resolving some of these issues. Therefore, we need to change our strategy to find ways and means in which we can make all our schools to be safe.
And what would those ways and means be, according to you?
I think that the department should identify all the schools with red flags, schools which are likely to be confronted with violent incidents. Schools that are not necessarily safe. And in such schools, we should be able to deploy, law enforcement agencies on a regular basis. There are schools where you find that learners come into the schools with drugs and dangerous weapons. And, police have got the right to conduct even searches where there is a reasonable suspicion without even a warrant of search. And so we need to really identify such schools with a view to ensuring that we deal with them decisively.
Now, that call for added resources at some of these schools seems to be one that you then have police officers saying they're under-resourced, they're overwhelmed with just the general community policing that has to take place on a daily basis. They cannot find themselves being stationed at some of these schools.
Definitely. That is why police alone will not be able to win the war against violence in schools. We really need community members to also come on board in the forms of your CPFs, as well as to beef up security systems at school level. We have called on government to install cameras in schools, particularly in the Eldorado Park area, because of the gang violence that we continue to experience in that regard. But not only cameras. I think that the army should also be deployed in that area to make sure that they are able to contain and quell the violence that has been seen over a number of weeks, with a view to ensuring that there is stability. Young women and young men, as well as community members, can be able to feel safe when they walk in the streets of Eldorado Park.
All right. Mr. Makaneta, thank you very much for your time. That's education activist Hendrick Makaneta speaking to us.